to talk about the CEO's performance review survey update and process. So welcome everyone, welcome back. But we now need to decide whether we go into confidence to discuss that matter. Right. I'm happy to accept a mover and seconder to get the discussion going. I'm going to ask for a mover and seconder first. Do we have a mover and a seconder? Is that, are you happy to move, Councillor Sample? And you're moving the officer's recommendation? Yep. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Little. Seconded. Any discussion? Now, would you like to ask your question? Yep.
Yeah, just some clarification on to what extent the survey process itself is considered a matter of confidence.
Well, I guess it does talk about, and we have got a mover and seconder, so we are talking about personal affairs, and we're talking about surveys, performance reviews, all of that fits under personal affairs. So it is valid. Well, no, that's the answer to the question. You may not like it, but that's the answer. Now, Councillor Shanks.
I just had a question just on process. Everything that you've just listed there that we should have in confidence is actually for the PMP meeting. What this motion is whether or not we agree we should even have a PMP meeting. And we're discussing whether or not we should have a PMP meeting in confidence, it seems.
No, this is about, if I may, I'm talking about what's in this agenda paper, which is not about the PMP meeting. You need 4 hours to a minimum of 4 hours to request a special council, a special meeting, and that was done on Friday, and that's next up. Yeah. So this is part of this. I'm just following what's in this agenda. Yeah, and then we still need to have a PMP meeting after that because it's been declared as that we're going to have a PMP meeting.
I think there's some advice that we would.
Yeah. Well, that's my understanding, that you can't just cancel a PMP meeting. You need I mean, the only way you can not have one is to not have a quorum.
But I didn't call a PMP meeting.
You did in your request.
No.
Well, it's actually been notified as a public notification, hasn't it? Yeah. Yeah, you had it in that was when I read it as an elected member. You can't have it otherwise. You'd have it at 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. Yeah, that is the process for special council meetings. Yeah, after this. Yeah. Okay, so we've got, I think I've answered that question. We've actually got a mover and a seconder here. So we've got a motion on the floor. Councillor Tooley.
I have not seen what you're talking about. What I've seen here, which was submitted by the 3 people when they called a special cabinet meeting, they had 2 agenda items, which they were incorrectly on Friday listed as 2 separate meetings. That was never the intent. That was clarified in the emails today. And the second motion is simply that council call a special CEO PMP meeting on a date that is prior to the 14th of July. it does not do any of the things that you've just said. It doesn't discuss anything that's confidential. It's simply asking us to decide, do we collectively,
No,
as the board,
Well, with all due respect.
is what was
with
submitted.
all due respect, you, the three members put forward a request for a special council meeting.
no, they didn't.
Yes, you did.
No, you didn't.
Special council meeting, which we are in now, and also around a PMP meeting. And as Kate has explained, the CEO assessed that, because it's in fact the CEO that calls the meeting. You request the meeting and the CEO then calls it, if you look at the Act. That's correct, isn't it? So the CEO has assessed that, and so we have two meetings and gives us a capacity to do what council may wish to do. And that way you follow due process, which is quite important. Otherwise, you can't, once you call that special meeting, you can't just get rid of it. I don't think. You have to deal with it in a particular way. They have to commence the meeting. The meeting has to commence because it is a public meeting and a notice has gone out. And so there are members of the community that would be expecting that there be a PMP meeting. And so there has to be a certain amount of process around that, regardless of what the outcome is. Yeah. So we are back to, we have a mover and a seconder here. Any comments or questions around this particular matter? Councillor Tooley, do you wish to speak against or for?
First of all, it's a question, Mayor, then I'll speak. My question is, I have no idea then what the motion is, because I was going on what I read in the emails that the three members submitted.
Well, we are,
So
this is, if you look, if I can clarify that, that's what we're, it is a motion to go into confidence to discuss the next item.
But I don't know what the next item is.
Well, we have an agenda that was up on the hub and that was alerting.
I get mine in hard copy. I didn't get one. I haven't seen it.
I didn't get a hard copy, although I requested one today.
Well,
but it was up on the hub.
Can someone show me the motion that's contentious that we're saying?
Well, we're not there yet. I'd like to deal with this matter first, and then we
How
can.
How can you judge if it should go into confidence if you haven't seen what the item is? Can I just walk over quietly and someone show me? Can I read it, please? Have you got a copy I can read? So I know what we're voting on, please.
Well, we're voting on whether to go into confidence.
I know that, but
to
it's
discuss.
It's about that item that should be in confidence.
Well,
and I haven't seen it.
It actually gives us, in our public agenda, it says Chief Executive Officer Performance Review Survey Update and Process. That's what we're going to discuss in confidence if we choose to resolve that way.
Could you read that again?
Well, it says Chief Executive Officer. In fact, it's up there. If you move it down, Kate, you can see it. Can you move that down? There it is. There it is. So that's actually the agenda item.
I don't know how that's happened because that's not what they asked for. That's weird.
Well, we've got a mover and seconder to move into confidence to discuss that. So I'll keep moving because we do have a valid motion on the table.
I'll speak against. Can I speak against?
Okay, you certainly can.
Okay. When I received the notification from Councillor Shanks and the two other signatories that they called a special meeting, and the requirement for calling a special meeting is you have to have 3 names. You must also tell the CEO what the items are. And I read that there were 2 items. One item we've now dealt with. The second item is, I have it written here, it is a motion regarding the CEO Performance Review Survey that Council call a special CEO PMP meeting on a date. Now, that was misinterpreted. CEO Nat admitted that. And today we came back and said there would be just one agenda for the special council meeting with the 2 items on it. And that meeting was to see whether there was a will of the people, the members, to have a meeting. It wasn't actually to convene a meeting because of the shortness of the call. It was to see, do you want to call a meeting for the reasons? Yes, we do. Let's set a date. So that's what I thought we were voting on, to do that. And that's why my confusion over what's happening here. To the matter of it being in confidence, I would argue for the same reasons that we've argued tonight, that there is no grounds for it to be in confidence. We're talking process. We're not going to be analysing the CEO's performance. We're simply talking a process that is publicly in the public domain. It's been reported on and spoken of. I've read articles in the Bunyip where both the Mayor and the CEO have spoken about the fact. They said in that article, we will be dealing more with the process on the 7th of July, 7th of March, April, 7th of April. The Mayor in there said, this matter will be dealt with by the members on the 7th of April. So it's in the public domain that there is a performance review. All we're talking about tonight is, if we get to agree, is we're talking about the mechanics of that. We're not making any judgments about the CEO, not at all. We're simply being open with the public about a process they already know about, so that we're just going to talk about the mechanics of it, which is totally in the public interest. So I don't believe we should go into confidence.
Any other discussion? Councillor Shanks?
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused, and I apologise for any confusion I may have caused. But the items that I sent through were just trying to see if the elected body actually shared my opinion, as I know some do. However, there are members of the full elected body that actually aren't a part of the PMP, and I was hoping that we would be able to have a vote just to say, should we be having a PMP? Motivation being, we've only had one to date, and there's some education there that I'm chasing. I put this up to see if other elected members felt the same, and then that was sort of the only items that I was thinking we were going to discuss. And if it did get up, it would roll into a PMP meeting that was accidentally set up, as admitted on Friday when I had discussions with Henry, saying, oh, sorry, I've misinterpreted it, because I haven't called a special committee meeting, I called a special council meeting, and I highlighted the process I used for the special council meeting. That's the intent, and I'm really sorry that I've confused the situation here, but I am uncomfortable forcing elected members to have this discussion when it is a PMP matter.
Well, it's actually council. All council members can have a discussion. It's not specific to the PMP. The PMP advises council, but council has a role. All elected members have a say in the PMP.
Yeah, I mean, once again, I put up the motion to put that to the rest of the body, but I think we've confused the issue here, because I think we do have another meeting booked after this one.
We're talking about going into confidence.
And nothing, and I guess nothing that is in the 2-point motion that we're discussing is in any way in confidence if we are going to move into a PMP meeting. If we're not, and we're going to start discussing how this process actually advanced and everything like that, I think that's a very dangerous sort of matter, and should probably be done under the confidence of a PMP meeting so we can get into the nitty-gritty. But I am saying that that's not what this motion is supposed to be.
Well, what we're talking about is going into confidence. So you've spoken to the matter. Councillor Goldstone, did you have a hand up? Okay.
Like everyone, a bit confused at the moment, but who is actually going to provide the update, and who's going to provide the report? Because we haven't received anything. So
No.
someone will provide a verbal report, I guess.
Okay. So we'll go back to the matter at hand. We have a motion to move into confidence. If there's no other discussion, Councillor Samble, I think. Is that right, Kate? Move the motion. You happy for me to put the motion that we move into confidence?
Yes, but I'll also ask for councillors to support this, because after what's been said, as Councillor Shanks said, this is basically, let's talk about this first so that we at least know what's going on, and you can vote it out to the public at the end of it. I mean, we don't know. I mean, I've heard as the PMP chair, so many people rang me so confused with the sort of information that's been sent out. We need to make sure we're heading in the right direction when we have the next meeting, which is the proper PMP meeting with Matt to be able to know what we're talking about. At the moment, does anybody know what's going on about the review of statement? Have you all received?
We're talking about going into confidence
Yep,
time.
okay, we'll
So
go into confidence.
we'll-
Please support
I'm
it.
going to put the motion. All those in favour of the motion to go into confidence, please raise your hands. All those against, it is carried. Thank you. So we are in confidence now. So how do you wish to proceed? Oh, we'll get rid of that. Hang on one moment. Everyone, we're now in